So TI7 has just finished, and the second highest post after congrats to the winners 2 hours after the event is PGL needs some work. Today, Valve, can you not give PGL a monopoly on running the events? 583 upvotes. The community contributed over $100 million, but the production value was overwhelming. Complaint Esports. The reception to this year's event has been mixed, and I feel it's important to point out why this is. Esports production is a thing that is learnt on building from mistakes, and it's important to work out what was done well and what was an issue. The Dota 2 esports community then can argue it out on Reddit, because that's what we do. Okay, look, here's the big thing. The too long, didn't watch, you can't look cheap. This is going to be probably controversial and running on pure conjecture, but when I hear it repeated multiple times, it becomes a running theme, and it's always in the back of your mind. A lot of mistakes and issues simply could be covered under this banner, which is why we are going to be breaking this down. That is not to say you can't be cost effective. Esports is a business. Valve is a business. It is okay to make a profit out of esports. Some will argue how much a profit you should make or how you should split stuff, but as we're never going to see the budgeting for TI. We are never going to get into the nitty-gritty. I doubt any production would ever give that, because A, it would reveal a lot of NDA stuff about sponsorships, and B, a lot of people get turned off when discussing how the burger is made. Spoilers, it's not pretty. But saying it looks cheap isn't accurate, because it obviously wasn't cheap to produce at all. Cheap is a word people are using for a feeling. We need to find out why it felt cheap. Problem 1. Talent, casting, panel. Okay, way back 2 weeks ago, there was this Twitter post on who would not be casting the main event games. More specifically, it said that Gods and Capitalist would not be doing any casting at the main event. My initial reaction was that what that left us with at main stage, which would be 4 from the top of my head. Toby, LD, OD Pixel, and Lyrical. That's actually not that bad. Obviously, they thought that Capitalists and Gods would be excellent analysis and storytellers from the main stage panel, which they have done for many years on the other events. And Lyrical would be getting the push-up these has deserved for so long, right?
No.
Capitalists and Gods got nothing during main event. Lyrical was stuck with Tortling during the information for newcomer stream. Not casting it, just pop-ups. Okay, well, who's doing panel then? Multiple players that have been knocked out of the competition! Now, don't get me wrong, I am appreciative the guest players giving insight. We have many of them, and they've always been really good. But if you use them incorrectly, it makes the panel look like an amateur show. It's badly thought out, and you guessed it, that word again, cheap. This just wasn't stuck with the main stage, as the group stage had a completely static desk for the most of the event. Blitz, CCNC, Pajcat. This is a bad production decision, and through no fault of the talent, they were flamed for this. Let's go through the 3 strikes. Strike 1. All 3 of the panelists fulfill the same role. A panel is like a Dota team. You can't have all carries or all supports. Let's look at TI6 for what I would call the 4 roles of panels. You have Red Eye as the host. This one was the only good one I felt that was actually handled well at TI7. The host is the interviewer, the guy who asks what the audience is thinking. Day 9 and Machine did their job very great under very bad panel circumstances. Gods as the game knowledge. You need someone who knows the game and is there to explain complicated moves or predict what can happen, usually an ex-player or commentator. Charlie Yang, Indie Sports Insider. You need someone who knows how the teams are reacting to potential issues and to talk about the game outside of the game. It's an ex-coach or someone trusted in the community. Note, knowledge and insider should aim to be from different regions. If one is from SEA China, the other is NA EU. Parry and Flax is the icebreaker. You need someone who can actually talk and interact with the other panelists as a counterpoint or as additional layer. It's the yin to the host's yang, if you will. This panel hit game knowledge as the end-all, be-all. The main strength of having CCNC and Pajcat is that they have immense knowledge of the game, but neither function well as an insight or as an icebreaker. Blitz is a good jack of all trades, has to cover as an insider to really try and bring out more of the two other panelists. It just doesn't work. He spread out towards too many roles and ends up as if he's taking the spotlight. Strike 2! You had multiple new panelists coming on at the same time. Patchcat isn't completely new, but this was his first TI. CCNC is. He hasn't done anything. Both are really quiet and soft-spoken. You can't have two soft-spoken people at the same time on the same panel. It doesn't work. This problem continued throughout the main stage events, when you just replaced people with just players. Strike 3! The panel was never goddamn used. Why? You have huge chunks of time in between matches with just a fucking idle screen. Not going over the matches going on, just an idle screen. That's your entire job at the event. Not using your talent makes you look like you're either having technical issues all the time, not using your resources properly, or you are just plain incompetent. What was the reasoning behind this? We had this at TI6. We had this at every major. It felt like a step backwards, which in turn triggers the word again. Cheap. Strike 4. Swap your goddamn panel. Why? Because it gets other people's preferred panelists on the desk, it resets the talent and lets them do other things, and stops the entire day merging to one mush of games talked about by the same people. The only good things from most panels was interaction between Day 9 and PPPD, who was having to juggle multiple roles on the desk. And as for the desk itself, it was smaller, no seats for the talent. Only one computer for the host. You had a perfectly good TI6 desk. Why did you destroy it and make everyone squish together like a tin of sardines? Look, I also heavily disagree with only having 3 caster pairs for main stage. Unfortunately, not every caster is liked by everyone, so swapping around is really goddamn important. I don't see why it wasn't 4 casters in order to bring rest to the talent and give range of casting to people. As I said in the beginning, Capitalist and Gods should have been on panel. Lyrical should have been the 4th caster for main stage. These are simple talent choices. They failed to do that. And if there's only 3 casters on main stage at TI, it gives nearly zero hope for the 30 other casters in Dota 2 while climbing the ladder. Problem 2. Lack of observers. Group stage was 4 streams for 2 observers. That's literally it. That's the point. If you have 4 streams, you need 4 observers. There is no ifs or buts about this. Casters don't want to focus on observing while talking. It's like the commentator at the football also being the cameraman in the stands. Oh, but hiring 4 is too many. We don't use that many for main stage. You do realize that you just hired Capitalists and Gods and didn't use them for main stage. I think the observers wouldn't mind only working for group stage. Problem 3. 0 stats. So you've created a brand new stats pop-up feature and you never used it on the mainstream. Why?
Did we mention the BKB on Coddle?
We mentioned it was being bought, not the fact it was done and it's already halfway to his Octarine.
I wonder what the win rate is of this item on this hero.
Keeper of the Light has never bought a BKB in the history of Pro Dota 2. There! That's why you need a stats person. A single pop-up with this information with boosted production value through the goddamn roof.
No team yet has done the huge win through the lower bracket. I think I shouldn't just try to make up statistics on the spot. We can just literally look them up, but...
Stop. Stat guys give out sheets of paper with info, or they whisper it in their ear. Done. This is just a random bunch of numbers. Without context, numbers mean nothing. Say that Sven apparently has broken a GPM record, or that a team hasn't drafted this hero before. We have the info. Let us give it to you. Please, production guys. Just hire stats people. It'll make you look way better during games. Not everything can be conveyed through an overlay. There's been reasons that stats people are not being hired as much, but I believe we can get that back on track. Problem 4. This tone with the All-Star match. The thing is, do you want a serious All-Star match, or do you want a fun and relaxed All-Star match? You can't do both. The tone with the All-Star match was all over the place. They're playing for money, but the crowd wants them to play off-meta. That's not how it works. That's not how any of this works. Problem 5, announcements and entertainment. Actually, why don't we go through this one at a time, because some of them were good and some of them were interesting. So first, Artifact reveal. Oh, crap. Look, okay, I'm actually a massive card game fan, and I'm actually really looking forward to this. The backlash seems to be really oddly placed, and it's more of a, where's Half-Life 3 backlash rather than anything else. A lot of this could have been solved with actual gameplay trailers, let's be honest here. So, Artifact. It works. Critical Hit and Valve Studio Orchestra. This actually would have been really goddamn hype if it wasn't for the fact that, well, there was tech issues, meant that the two bands were never synced to each other and they couldn't hear each other. Dueling Fates update. Soon is a registered trademark of Valve Corporation. Closing ceremony. Or rather, the lack of one. I think we just have to start doing hard cuts after the stage trophy presentation. Don't show them in their room and walking down the carpet. Don't give them champagne bottles, especially if they don't drink alcohol. Just let them get out of their booths. Cut to desk looking at final game. Cut to the interview of the losing team. Cut to an interview to the winning team. Get them to lift the trophy. Explode fireworks. Sign-offs. Video of the tournament, stream offline. Done. Okay, also, no use of AR teams like how PGL did it in the majors, just a back screen doing the regular stuff. It feels like a downgrade, like I could make that. And also the fact that Layeroth wasn't used is the most infuriating thing. I mean, come on, it's just there. Buy them. Buy them. Okay, let's recover. This isn't to say that this was a horrible TI. A lot of the talent did the best in all the coasts. KC, Slacks, Day9, Machine, they should be in particular applauded for their work, especially during hard times. There wasn't a game-breaking technical outage, which in 10 games of broadcast is actually kinda hard to not do. Valve took a lot of risks, such as Dendy vs AI, which actually I think was really well received. What we should be taking from TI7's production is that we can always strive to improve. With 22 official events split between at least 10 different companies next season, they can look up to this event and decide, well, we can improve on this. We can introduce better ideas. Heck, just having 11 majors by different companies is breaking up the PGL monopoly we yelled about last year. Even if it brings its own problems, we can still learn from them. And in reality, that's what esports is about. It's constantly learning and improving.